9th of March, 2026, and I never thought I would have to use a number this high when it comes to the oil price. 118 South Africa, as we were sitting on the oil price at the moment. So that is the what of this particular conversation, Francis Heard. The question is, if we go back just a few days, you and I spoke about this last week, Thursday, on Number of the Day, and we had it, I went to go look on eNCA.com and the podcast, $84 back then. Boy, how time has flown and the number has skyrocketed.
Yeah, so we were reporting on Friday evening that it hit 90. Remember, before the conflict began, it was around 70, 72 worst. But then it hit 80, 84, 85. On Friday, it hit 90. Yesterday, it hit 100. Today, up to 118. So a spike of more than 15%, in a very short space of time. It has happened much quicker and much more dramatically than I expected. And we can talk about the reasons, but as you know, this has huge implications for the fuel price.
It does. And I want to get to the fuel price first. We'll talk about those implications when it comes to inflation and interest rates. So I'm sure we'll get to that in a few minutes from now. But that fuel price, because come April, and this is no April Fool's joke, we are all going to be in for a very big hiding. Whether it's diesel, whether it's petrol, the two are very closely linked price-wise. Just how bad could this get if we're looking at 118? I know it's come down a little bit, but still well over 100.
Yeah, it's come down, but trading above $100 per barrel. So Kevin Links, we'll speak to him later. He's been making predictions, as some economists have, and he's talking about petrol up by at least R5. You spoke to a risk analyst saying 6, 7, 8 is not out of the question, because we've seen a way more than 30% increase in the price of oil just in the last 10 days. And then you have a weaker rand as well. So we import Brent crude oil for fuel. We buy it in dollars. So it also depends on the rand exchange rate, the dollar rand exchange rate. And then diesel will go up by even more. So this is a huge shock
to
our economy.
And just to Gareth's economy. Because I've just done some basic rudimentary maths, just by the way. If this were to go up just on the diesel side, that's what Kevin Lings was saying, it could be between R5.40 and R10 per litre, South Africa, per litre of diesel. I was just working this out now. I'm one of these idiots that's gone and gotten an extended fuel tank in my vehicle.
Yeah.
So an extra R10 for me, if it were to hit R10, that's the absolute worst right now. That would cost me an extra R1,600 to fill up my car come April. That's over and above what it was costing me before.
Wow. So
can we get a tandem bicycle, you and I?
So behavior may change,
Yes.
and it's interesting, but I guess you'll save because you can keep the petrol in your car, the diesel in your car for longer. But this is what happens because every household then feels it. Yeah. And then what happens, every household has less to spend on other goods. And that's beside the effect of food prices going up because of transport. We've also been looking at the fact that fertilizer goes up. Wandile Seklobo from Agbiz has been saying that fertilizer is so necessary now because they're going to plant soon for the winter season. Yeah. And one of your guests, I heard, said that actually it can grow at double the speed with fertilizer. Yeah. So it makes a huge difference to the crops. Yeah. So your fertilizer is a huge input cost for the farmers. So you have this knock-on effect across the economy. Now, then you have a knock-on effect across economies around the world if it lasts for a while. So the IMF is already saying a persistent 10% increase in oil prices lasting most of this year could lead to a 0.4% increase in global inflation.
So
now, and we're already at 30%. So, I mean, hopefully it won't stay at these levels. Say it stays at 20% above where it was. Then you're looking at an almost 1% increase in global inflation, which is serious. And we were looking forward to coming to a point where there was relatively low inflation. That's good because it preserves price stability is good, especially for people who have retired, who aren't getting a lot of money in. You don't want prices to go up every month. You want some stability, and it's good for the whole economy.
It is. I'm going to ask you for the Econ 101 lesson here again, because whenever we talk inflation, you and I did this earlier the year when around budget speech, inflation and interest rates, because I know we were hoping for more interest rate cuts, but if you're looking at numbers like this and inflation going up, again, no economist I can't imagine this is any good for interest rates at all.
No, we were hoping interest rates would go down. Yeah. There were predictions, maybe this will change things. And look, it depends on how long the bank thinks it will last, the Reserve Bank, because they try and be ahead of the curve and look into the future. The fact is this conflict is going on already longer than first expected. The Strait of Hormuz, by the way, JP Morgan, a leader there, has been saying that is the strait through which 20 to 30% of the world's oil supply is transported through. He was saying that he could never believe it was such an unlikely event that the Strait of Hormuz would be closed. It was almost impossible. But the impossible has come true. And despite the assurances of the US, the traffic has basically ground to a halt at the Strait of Hormuz. Now, what Iraq and other countries are doing is they're cutting back on producing oil because they've got nowhere to put it. So coming back to interest rates, we were hoping for rate cuts. The US was hoping for rate cuts. There is now talk that many economies are going to have to look at rate increases because of inflation. And that is pain for consumers, right? It picks up the rate at which you're paying your house, your car, things like that. We may look at rate increases, which is not good news.
It's not good. And what worries me as we leave the number of the day for the moment, I'm going to ask the $1 million question, or it's seemingly the $118 question in this case. How bad could this get? At worst so far the past few days, and it'll probably change by the time you and I have finished watching this podcast. It changes so quickly.
Yeah, it does.
The oil price. How bad could this get? If 118 is the highest we've hit so far, how long is a piece of string?
So the real doomsday predictions last week, because like you say, things are moving so quickly, were 120. Somebody said 150, and that just seemed so incredible. The all-time high for oil, by the way, is $145 per barrel. So I don't know, hopefully not, but maybe we will head to an all-time high. That came in 2008. And there was huge concern at that time. China was growing and there just wasn't enough oil. And later came the economic fallout for other reasons in 2008. And suddenly oil prices went down to 40. So it can go all the way up and all the way down. At that time, they were talking about speculation, because remember, it's not only about demand and supply, but it's about people betting on the price of oil. And these sort of ructions increase that interest in betting on the price of oil. So we don't know. But right now, 118, it hit this morning. 120 is not out of the question. 145 dollars per barrel is the all-time high. That was hit in July 2008. We'll see where we go from here.